Yeah, now I know what I was explaining. I was explaining how the footsteps would go to the short one.
Okay.
Okay? And then we was explaining the whole idea of it being like we position the light based upon how we read from left to right.
Mm-hmm.
So dawn would be on the left, high noon would be in the middle of the top of the page, and
Mm-hmm.
dusk to the right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's implied. It's not a perfect science,
Mm-hmm.
but it helps you to understand the terrain that you're in and how to position the light to get certain ideas to come across.
Mm-hmm.
And the excitement, you know.
Excitement.
Yeah, the excitement of nature. So it sounds like everybody, we still caught up on that.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. You are tuned in to Let's Paint and Draw Along. My name is Nadine, and I'm here with Don Stevens from
Yeah.
DonStephensArt. Yeah, it's been a wonderful 4th of July week, and we thought we would continue with making something from nothing, how to make something from nothing. And if you were paying attention, we had dived right in. You look on the board here. Um, Don has some diagrams and symbols that he was
Yeah,
using.
we was talking about in another session that I had.
Mhm,
We're talking about the implied idea or the theory on how we read the sun, the way that we read the passage of the sun. So
mhm,
dawn would be implied on the left side, and as you come across, high noon would be at the middle point of your page or your format at the high point, and then
mhm,
dusk would be red towards your right.
mhm,
And what me and Nadine was going through is like, well, if you really look at it, that's really an implied or a theory, but it's
mhm,
like a template of an idea that'll help you with bringing excitement to the page. Like, because it means something when you put the light in a certain direction. That means that you may be looking towards the east, or you may be looking towards the west,
mhm,
or you may be looking due north. All these different things changes where that light is going to be. So as an idea or as a suggestion, it's an idea to give you that from left to right is the passage of the sun generally on your
mhm,
format page. And if you look at it on your screen when you're watching your smart TVs or you go to the movie theater, you know what I mean, and you'll see a sun scene or a scene or a scenic scene where it's like high above, like Spider-Man movie was, and they show Spider-Man swinging through the city. And if you pay close attention to just the lighting, once you rent these movies, or you're just fortunate enough to go back to the movie theater and watch it again, or however you do it, you'll start to notice that the sun is moving in this implied idea I'm talking. And it's only for dramatic scene that change where you would see the light being dusk because they're
mhm,
looking into it. So that's another implied idea. When you're standing on the right and looking to your left, it could be doom and doom. It could mean you looking back into time. So,
mhm,
these are some of the things that you get to understand from this implied idea, this theory that we have of what you see on the board. If you look at it now, you can see why Alfred Hitchcock became so big time in movies and editing and stuff because he understood this stuff to a higher level than what we're talking about. Like the people that I know that have it to that level, they really smile at me and look at me and say, "Wow, Don, you're really making it very simple and plain for people to understand and to understand their surroundings." And that's my main mission.
mhm.
It's not hard. You're walking through it every day. You look at it every day. You see this type of scene all day, every day if you ever stargaze out somewhere. Even if it's just a little bit of water somewhere, and you're standing there for a brief moment and you look out over it, you just start stargazing. And then you'll come back to it and then you'll carry on. But that's just the power of what this stuff does. When I did this session, everybody started sending respondents back saying, "Wow, it's just that easy to deal with perspective."
Mhm.
Yeah, Once you have the general idea and you have the confidence to know that that square is your personal space. Yes, that square is your personal space. Yes. Mm-hmm. No matter what size it is, that's your world. And you can put anything in it you want to. That's why there is no wrong and right. There's only what it is. So once you start expressing and depicting and moving around, and if you have certain things in your toolbox, like understanding the passage of the sun, understanding line, shape, form, light, surface of the matter that you want to either subjectively make up or objectively draw. We can take these sketches and make them as real as we want to. It's just that who's going to stay in it long enough to make us believe that it was an actual space. Mm-hmm. What are all the things that go into making your expression feel like an actual place? Are these lines that I did on the board enough? Are the lines that we're about to do to make up a scene enough to make somebody, to trigger somebody to look and say, oh my God, those really feel like balloons in the sky. I was at the shoreline and I was at Maryland Eastern Shore and I kind of gives me that feeling. And yeah, that's what you want to hear. You want to hear, oh, I was over in the Gulf of Mexico and I was in Cancun and it felt just like that when I was on the beach. Yeah, yeah, but can a couple of lines do that? Can a couple of shapes do that? You see? Is the answer, Nadine. I love it when you do that. You know what I mean?
I put my 2 cents in there. I'm thinking, can a few lines do that?
Effect with it. I put the sound effect with it. Because that's what that is, man. It's like, come on. You know, outside of with something from nothing, it's taking all of that into account. This is the reason why everybody loves cartoons, comic books, and animations. Because these simple little lines and things and little bleeps of tone that's really flat give you an idea of stargazing, gives you a thought on what's actually happened. And now if you go to the more higher end of it, the Japanimation and your Disneys and stuff like this, your dream houses, now you see what they're really pulling from nature to be able to make an event like, you know, in a Little Mermaid happen and make you feel it. Or when they have a little character that's a lion and he's going through manhood and he gives you the father and he's talking everything that your eye can touch. It's yours. You know what I mean? What? And they're making you feel this moment through some lines and some shapes and some audio in the background. So ask yourself, how much did they borrow from their surroundings to make us believe? Comic book with a guy in a red and blue suit on, jumping from buildings. And the buildings real. It looked like they really there. Like the Empire State Building really looked like it's there. How much can you pull from nothing to make something? Ooh, we killing them today, honey. So we already got the other idea that's plain and simple now. We're going to add the sunlight idea second. The first one is the placement of your horizon line. So Nadine, let's go for it. If we're going to go, if we go city environment, now that's when it starts to change. And we have to get into certain other aspects of it that pulls in the idea of perspective. Or we can do a slick thing like how we have here. We just have to put a little bit more, how would you say, stuff in the experience to make it believable.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So, do we want to go with standing on a street corner because it did rain a little bit, right? Do we want to go with that idea, or sitting in a car? We definitely would have to talk about perspective. But But standing somewhere, we looking from the back here like this, we wouldn't. We can still use basic shapes in the positioning of shapes. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Standing on the street corner, that's
yeah. And since we're in like a a metropolis type of situation, we're on the Eastern Seaboard. I mean, if other people want to investigate, if they're on the West Coast and they catch us 3 hours later, if we have some fans out there like that, then show us what San Francisco and stuff looks like.
right.
Take the idea and then express your environment. Somebody that's in Maryland or a couple of people that's in Maryland, go down to the urban environments, your marketplaces, and you may see how we see it in an urban environment up here in the Northeast. So most of your marketplaces, or rather your business municipalities, are going to be structured and feel like an Empire State or feel like a Philadelphia. All along the Eastern Seaboard. So with that being said, you can make it look like that, or you can follow along with us. Either or, you're still going to get the experience, everybody. That's what it's all about. So let me erase the board down. We're going to stay with the portrait format.
Okay.
How does that sound?
That sounds good to me.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, and we're still going to do the people in there. So yeah, if anybody's asking, we can still do that. I'm going to leave the sunlight thing up there, but we're going to take everything else away from. I'll leave this stuff on there because we're going to talk about it. So mainly now, there's another idea. Sometimes people tell you, oh, it's not a good idea to start with your human features or your human setting first. Well, I say no, and I challenge the idea in school, and it worked in school, and it still works out here. And that's how I get interest sometimes, because you make the person feel even more so like they're in the piece when you have something that can run off of that. Because in the long run, that's what's going to happen, whether you stay focused on the environment or the individuals. The feeling at the end is that it's going to feel like you took the view like a camera took, like cinematographers and directors take, the scene over the main character's shoulder. See what I'm saying, Nadine?
Yeah. Yes.
So then first what I do is, in these ideas, this is where it's important to find center of your scene by just crossing the corners. I don't need a ruler to do that. You know what I mean? Now, once I find that crossing, now I can put in where that center point is. And I put it in loosely. And I put in the center point here. See, so right there, if you look, it's already setting it up in a certain point of view, just like your camera does, just like your phone does. Like, as your phone, I have marks like this, only Nadine. Hold on, let me get a marker here. And it'll be like a little square in the middle like this with hash marks now. Here and here like this. See that like that, Nadine?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And then now you'll see in here, it'll be a little grid in here where those little squares will start to move in there to let you know where things are, and then it'll expand out. But if you notice, it'll expand out based upon that idea of where that edge is, where the open edge is, and it'll spread out like so if you wanted to zoom in on a character.
Right.
You see? So I give this so you start to understand that your world functions like you. That's why you're so interested into the TV screen and everything, because they invest a lot of times in, I would say, reverse engineering the human mechanism to make even more technologies to connect with you more. So we're just talking about the sight thing and how we control and manipulate line, shape, form, light, surface to get interest from other human beings, or but to use as other mechanisms too as well, as a behavioral alternative in doing this. It's already been proven. I've done it in certain places, but you can go out and study art therapy and you'll see how these activities that we're doing help to not alter the behavior, but give the behavior that you're choosing, how would you say, alternatives rather than picking what we would call the negative behavior.
Mm-hmm.
You see? So with that being said, to start off with the characters, I would start off like how we said, I would start off a young lady's head, right? How we did that? It's off center based. And Nadine understands all that lingo. She's an editor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't see the screen right now, Nadine. So
Okay.
you gotta give you that for that. Because that's why I was saying to you before when we was in private modes that this is going to be easy to show you because your life's experience was loosely around the same terms.
Mm-hmm.
You see, to be able to get that newscaster in the right location, you know, you're looking at all the screens and you're seeing the opportunity to kind of condense that scene or that frame. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We can go on for hours. But let's put the neck in, everybody, because we're saying this person is from the back. We're just making up the person, you see? And if we go with the idea of what? If we say men, right? First, if we say men are this way, right? Then we can say men are 7.5 to 8 heads. Mm-hmm. You see? I don't know what that was, but I may have to do this over here real quick. Give me a second, Nadine, real quick. I thought I got a signal because I'm not looking at the screen. There we go. Oh, all right, cool. Yeah, I didn't want to move the screen. All right, cool. It's charging. All right. Our view is good, Nadine?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. So if when I put this circle here like this, that means that's the head. And the human body for men, supposedly, as a suggestion, as a theory, 7.5 to 8 heads. Women are the reverse. Women you have wider shoulders here, you have wider hip base here for females. And in females, if you look at the head count for what they say, it's 7 to 7.5. I put question mark. I put question mark. You see? Mm-hmm. So we have a thorough understanding that I'm not saying that this is absolute. I don't want anybody to say to me, oh, that's not true. I have a cousin, or I know a woman, or I know a man. And yes, I understand all of that. As a basic idea to help you bring your ideas to life faster, use this as a template. Can you change it? Of course you can. I've seen some ladies that are bus drivers where their shoulders seem wider than their hips. You know, I've seen women. Oh, look at our Olympians, not the track athletes, the like the hammer throw and the javelin ladies. If you look at their body types, still, if you look, you still see this idea here. No matter how wide their shoulders are, their hip base is still a little bit wider. It's just that they have more mass than the average woman, you see? Which is a beautiful thing. But I'm just saying, are there anomalies in this idea? Yes. So with that being said, I would take the head that I got, take that measurement, right? 1, 2, 3. So that means that the chest would be right around here. Now, I would do it like a rib cage, you know what I mean, to make it even more believable on that level, because your arms are not connected. You see? Now, if you want, we can put another individual that's a little bit smaller right at the edge here. The same type of idea, but make it a smaller net. especially if you're making it a female or a teenager at that height. See? The same thing. Make the rib cage idea. You see? Because what you'll see is that you'll have the traps here, and then now the shoulder will be here. You'll have the trap here, and then now the shoulder would be here. See what I'm saying? Same thing for the child. You come off of here, and that deltoid is right there, what we call the shoulder, everybody. And there's the deltoid there. But we should show that trap idea because you have a bone that's here, right here in the back here, that we normally don't see, that goes down to the wing. You see? That's where your rotator cuff is. See that, Nadine?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what that is. See, so that's what comic books and illustration and all those practices have for you. It embeds the idea of what reality is and what it could possibly be in your mind. Like I'm stopping there for a moment because I want everybody, yourself to include, Nadine, even more so, to understand how when we took this position right here, how that square already feels like something's happening or about to happen. Do you have that feeling even in your piece? I'm seeing that you got light sketching going, so I like.
Yes, I got a little bit of light sketching going on.
Yeah.
I was afraid to go dive into the Sharpie.
Oh, it would have been okay because then you can understand the accumulation in some pieces when you're just doing the Sharpie. And that'll teach you how to say, oh, okay, how to anticipate the next motion. So what I mean by that is instead of doing the sketchy or the blue line like how I'm doing, you would come in and just lightly sketch in those areas where I put in the rotator cuff with a Sharpie marker by using a dash line. You see what I'm saying? So you can understand how to anticipate a movement in an area to be able to place certain things. Like just to let everybody know, if I'm doing this and I'm not worried about trying to share, then I move a little bit differently. I have my own shorthand like every artist does, including yourselves, everybody, Nadine included. Everybody has their own shorthand that comes out when you start working. You see, you may have had a vision of what the head of this person looks like and start making augmentations of what that head looks like to you earlier in the piece. When you start seeing stuff like that, that's when you know that individual is really an understanding of what their world is to be able to utilize it in their expressions or their creations. You see? All right, Nadine. Since you had said you liked a lot more sky features, right?
Yeah. I was in sky heaven.
Yeah, so we can't put an umbrella in here now because of the point of view that we took. See what I'm saying? We would have to pan out or pull out now. And that would make our individuals become taller, or more of them would be on the scene, which would make them smaller in order to put the umbrella. If we put the umbrella now, that's going to cover the upper half of our scene. You see where I'm getting with it?
I see what because it has to be realistic, like what we're looking at.
Right, or at least feel like it for our people out there that might not be their ambitions, you see. So we wanted to feel like it, everybody. Nadine's trying to go for the real deal, McCoy. I want you to feel like you're there. Nothing wrong with it. Let's go for it. But for some of you out there that may not have risen in your confidence to that level just yet in our crew of Let's Paint and Draw Along, you guys, hey, just think about it first. You see? Woo! That ginger is doing something, Nadine.
What else did you put in there?
I used the powder this time. I didn't really juice my own. I didn't like how that went down last time. So I used like 3 tablespoons. And it gives me the kick that I need. And I try
Okay.
to get the highest end of that powdered ginger that I can get, the best that I can get,
Mm-hmm.
and go with it at that. So I go to Pin Herb, everybody. I know they're not our sponsors, but you know what I mean, just yet. But I go to Pin Herb to get a lot of the things that I talk about online for myself, and
Mm-hmm.
only speak about those things that I've had used.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I mean. So if you ever hear me talking about the stuff that we put in our coffee and stuff like that, I really do that, everybody. That's not just a gimmick to try to get your attention. I really put baking soda in coffee. Like I had somebody hit me up and try to laugh. You put baking soda in coffee? Yeah, I put baking soda in coffee. What's the problem,
Mm-hmm.
man? And I let him go for it. He called me stupid, Nadine.
What?
Yeah, that's the arrogance and the arrogant arrogance that's out there. You know, yeah, Nadine, that's what my mouth did too. Like, oh my God, you really that bold to do that, man? I'm stupid for putting bicarbonate in my drink because I understand what the bicarbonate does. So, and I had to ask him as well, do you put an aspirin in your mouth? Why, yes. I said, so what's the difference? You just got a pill form. I got the powder.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But, after I got done with him and had him searching on his Google 18,000 phone, you know what I mean? He shut up and retracted that
Mm-hmm.
statement. But it's like, wow, you won't believe the arrogant ignorance that's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Just look you right in the face and say, wow, that has nothing to do with it. But if we look at this situation, so Nadine, we can put a rain hat on these young ladies if you want.
Ooh.
Another one is we can put the bigger one's arm up. Like this is where we can imply a psychological idea. What if we
Mm-hmm.
had the little person with her arm on the right side holding up her phone like she's trying to lead the way?
Mm.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll be the different. If we put it in the bigger person's arm, it's okay. But if we put it on the littler person, it's going to imply that that person is younger, which is more keyed into what's going on today. So we want to go for that idea.
Yes.
So we'll go with the larger figure pointing and the younger person or the smaller person holding the phone or a tablet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All
Because
right, let's
there
get.
are always kids holding tablets.
Well, that's what I see more of now. And now you see where people say they're not getting together, I'm seeing these strange ways on how they get together now. It's not that we're not doing it, we're doing it in a way that's not really felt anymore
Mm-hmm.
because it's centered around your device. If you really
Mm-hmm.
look at it, if you ever take the time and you're out somewhere, really just not shut off your phone, but put your phone or whatever down and look around you and see how people are interacting with the phone with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I've
And
seen this that we're about to do now numerous times all around me where you see a younger person sometimes with a pacifier in their mouth
mm-hmm.
holding the phone up to tell somebody where to go. Can't talk yet, but know how to tell them where to go to their pizza parlor by
Yep.
understanding their phone. Man, that was so powerful. I had to give the kid $1, man. That was off the hook to me. You can't talk. You got a pacifier in your mouth, still in the stroller, and you're going to navigate to your mama where to go, and your mama just turn around and say, oh, you mean over there? And he gives a
Mm-hmm.
grunt and tells her to look at the phone. And darn enough, the boy had the location on the phone. Google
Mm-hmm.
Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Google Earth. You know how many adults can't do that?
Yep.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So I try to key in on new things like that if you really look. Take these ideas of observation from the Impressionists and people like that study the everyday. You see, that's why we held them so high. It's not because they just did a bunch of wiggly marks all over the place. They were studying, they were studying the quick study of the everyday human experience of that time period.
Mm-hmm.
So I say to everybody, let's go for it. Like, okay, that's the left arm. Let's make this right arm It's going to have to come from here. So it's going to come from here because the deltoid is here, everybody. So I have to come up this way where the elbow is going to go out. You see, let's get that together first where the elbow is going to be. Same thing over here. Let's get together where that elbow is going to go here because now we have to move it in a little bit. Why? Because the younger person is standing next to the adult. So that arm may come around or the elbow may come down to cover that later. We'll see what happens. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So now we can take the same length or extend it just a little bit because it's out in front of us to the wrist from the elbow. You see? The only difference is in her hand, we got the phone, so we can put a square where that hand is going to be to the wrist. See that?
Oh, yeah. It almost looks like he's taking a picture, actually.
It could be. You see what it's alluding towards?
Yeah.
You see, that's all I wanted to point out. Already it's alluding towards something. Now we need the expression of this individual to jump into play. Because, okay, what is this individual pointing at away from us? See how it's smaller as it goes away?
Mm-hmm.
So that means anything around you, it adheres to the idea of, how would you say, reduction or deduction or deducing in space or diminishing in space. That means that things as they go away from you, they get smaller. As they come towards your point of view, they get larger. Now that elbow would overlap for that arm to come out further for you to get to the upper arm. See that right there?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It feels like that arm is doing what my arm is doing now, everybody, if you can see it. Can you see my arm, Nadine?
Yes.
So she's taking this individual, we don't know if it's a she or a he or an in between, just said all of that stuff that's into gender at this point, everybody. I don't like to debate it, but others do. So it's open for you to be able to which way you need to. Outside of that, the body functions, male or female, is the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, muscle to tendon to bone,
Mm-hmm.
muscle to tendon to bone. So
Mm-hmm.
then now if you see my arm is out here, right? Let me bend down a little bit. My arm is out here, right? Now watch, as I bend it towards the board, does it give the feeling of that square that's at the bottom that I did?
Mm-hmm.
And if you look where my wrist is my wrist getting smaller
Mm-hmm.
as it's going towards the board?
Yeah.
And that happens in small spaces, everybody. That's why I was okay in boxing and stuff like that, because you understand the distances of your arm reach. You understand diminishing in space. So yeah, if you put your arm out in front of you, things are going to be smaller. You bring your hand back, it's going to seem bigger to bring it back behind your head. Same thing for you guys. If I got my hand on the back of my head, when I take my hand off the back of my head and start bringing it forward, it's going to get smaller to you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So now we understand that idea. Now it's like, okay, is the hat going to cover that arm?
Mm.
Is this arm going to come over and look like it's protecting her
Mm-hmm.
or this individual from something?
Mm-hmm.
Now we erase out what that arm covers. And it goes right into the tendon, the muscle, the bone, right in there. You get that together first, everything else will ride good. Does it have that feeling like that arm is coming down here? See?
Oh, yeah.
And that's off the page now. That'll be off the page. Body is off the page now. It's going in. That rib cage will come into here and it connected to the spine around about here. That's about 2.5 heads down, everybody. If you get a piece of yarn and you do it to yourself, you'll see how many heads your chest is down. Your chest is like, if you take a measurement from here, you guys, from your hairline, or even if you have a bald spot, wherever your head turns, right around there where my willow's peak is, in the ball of your chin, you take this measurement and you go down the body, you'll see I'm right at, that's, see, 1, 2, 3 is at the belly button, 4 is at your groin area, your buttocks area, the vesica piscis, your hips, pelvic area. That's at the forehead's down point. What's really center of your body is your private area. Not really your belly button. It's not foreheads down from your belly button and foreheads up from your belly button. You would think that, but no, that's not what it is. If you really look at it, the central point would be of the human body in its full length would almost be where the private areas go into the muscle, into the pelvic area. No matter how the belly is hanging over, the cadaver is hanging out or whatever, that's central on that skeletal system. Do the measurements, have fun. I have fun going to gross anatomy labs and see this stuff, man. You know, cadavers, John Doe's, baby Doe's, and Jane Doe's.
Right.
So yeah, I probably made my head a little bit too big, but I can do that.
Right.
Here's another one. Say, for instance, I already know that my hat is going to cover that area. Then yeah, now I can change the direction of that arm. I can bring the arm down more. You see, bring the arm down more. So then now the forearm comes down more. And then look at that. I will put more roundness on this side, but it depends upon what type of clothes you're going to put on. You see, or on that individual. See, how will we put the hand on there? Well, I will put a triangle for the thumb, and then the rest of the ball of the hand, the pad of the hand, the palm of the hand. You see? So then now I can put the thumb here. And I would do it in the power of 3 because that's how many joints there, and I have more character. Then I can put this finger going right around the back like so. Isn't that one of the positions we use to hold these things?
Yeah.
You see? Okay, before we go deeper into this individual, what we're going to do with the sky idea. You know, are we in an urban environment? Are we off on, are we on Delaware Avenue looking across the canvas? Or looking at the Benediction Bridge? That's another one. I just caught that thought. You can do that if you want to, Nadine.
Nice. Yeah.
Nice. Done deal. We're going there, everybody. All aboard. You know what I mean?
All aboard.
All aboard. So then look, we're going to do it this way. We're going to act like there's 2 dots right here, here, and then here. And then now we're going to take them out like this and like this. See that? How does that feel? All right, I will put a little line here, the same thing to make the side of this idea first. Starting to feel it yet?
Yeah.
You want me to do some of it in red?
Yeah.
Here's one of the structures that holds up a bridge, right on the side here. Here, and we do a line like this, and a line here. We're acting like that head ain't there right now, just to make this scene. Now we can put a line here to say that that's the underneath of the bridge. See that? No?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm about to say successful or unsuccessful.
I can see it coming along.
There we go. Here, that's the bridge here, the opening here. That was connection going here to go down to the shoreline on the New Jersey side. All of this is connected to all of this. And now you would have the taller structure here. Watch what happens now. We come straight across this way. Just a basic shape. Look what we got.
Mm.
You see the feeling?
Yes.
Watch when I erase this part out here. See, the whole key is now you got to switch your mind off from thinking about the human being. Act like the human being is not there at all. Now underneath, I can mark a mark in here. That's the middle, and then do the same thing straight out. See how we got the bottom of the bridge now?
Mm-hmm.
Say, for instance, I do some marks like this. Oh, mark two horizontal. And as I start getting closer to where the horizon line is, they start getting smaller, smaller and closer together. Smaller and closer together. Closer together. Closer together. Closer together. What does that feel like, Nadine? It's based upon shapes now.
Feels like you're looking under something.
Yeah, look under the Ben Franklin Bridge on idea of standing underneath of a structure like a bridge to do this thing. Oh yeah, we got them. You see that? And it's based upon where we placed our individuals. So we pretty much doing like a 1-point perspective if you really want to be technical. You see that? So, all right, we're still on the Jersey Shore. What's on the Jersey shoreline that we can put in where on any shoreline, it's going to seem flat, two-dimensional, wouldn't you say?
Yes, yes.
So then this is where we can have fun again. We can make this line right here a little bit more permanent because we can say that's the shoreline there on the Jersey side. Right above that, and then now we know it has to go through here. So you definitely know our person is going to be standing there. This is where you start doing things like that. See what's starting to happen now?
Oh, yeah.
Now, red marker I'll show just by putting a couple of squares. Smaller ones. Put another line right over that water line because that'll be those rocks that keeps the water out. See what I'm saying, everybody? Watch how these lines start to transform and read to you as if that's a shoreline over there. And then they have over there on the Jersey side, there'll be a couple of movements like this that'll be like tree lines. How we feeling, Nadine? What you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good.
We know that. Are you feeling the perspective on the board? Just by
I am feeling pretty good about the perspective on my page, and I'm seeing it on the board with clarity.
Notice how it's just basic shapes that we're using, the different sizes of them. We use an implied dot that was based upon the formatting of the page.
Right.
Which is the same way that your cameras work, cinematographers work, anybody that does video or holds a camera in their hand, they use this grid universally on any square. It helps with centering a scene, point of view, because you're saying the point of view is you. So we're literally saying we're looking over these people's shoulder to see the scene. And what I found is a lot of people, no matter what you're doing, they love this type of perspective. See? So then look, now we can put it on the other side, on the Camden side, we have those buildings, apartment buildings here. We have the stadium that's here on the water. We have the zoo right behind there that's on the water. You know, now you can do a couple little spaces here and there, and you have the same thing. See that?
Mm-hmm.
So now if you want, I can get rid of some of these marks here and this mark here for that grid idea that showed you. You know, we can erase out that in there and in there. We can see where the head is going to be. You see, that's where the bridge is. See? Yeah. Is there something on the water?
Yeah, tugboat.
Okay. Then we'll have to say, from what direction?
Ooh. Yep.
Up north or
Mm.
going down south? See what I'm saying? This would be northern movement going this way. This would be in our area, southern movement.
I think southern movement.
Okay. On the other side or closer to us? Because if it's
Uh,
on if closer to us, it's going to take up this whole area right here. Boom.
oh, I was thinking direction it was going in. I was thinking maybe on the left side.
You talking about it here
Yeah.
or right here? Small.
Yeah.
But yeah, it means that we're not really underneath that bridge for that to be a reality here.
Mm-hmm.
That if we're in this location and we're standing on our side of the Pennsylvania side, looking towards Camden, that shoreline is literally right around here,
Mm-hmm.
and they're standing here.
Mm-hmm.
You see. So if we're looking from the back, the floor would be here. So that means that that boat, if it's small like this over here, you're saying right around here then, where that would cover at least that area right there.
Mm-hmm.
Water. For that to be feasible.
Right.
You see? And then now some of that will go off the back.
Mm-hmm.
You see where we're going with it?
Yes.
All right, now look, I can makeshift this loop here, but there would have to be another one right there from the point of view that we took.
Mm-hmm.
Now this shows you how many times I've been down to the Ben Franklin Bridge area to give you this feeling with just a couple of lines.
Mm-hmm.
Vertical now to that point right there. And then now on the other side, we would have to bring this line here. See the feeling? Does it
Yes.
feel like it?
Yeah.
Feels like a bridge. It could be our Ben Franklin Bridge here.
Mm-hmm.
You see? This is where we can make these structures do this now. You see? And then now this would come over to here. Try to make them as horizontal as possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know? See, I'm just doing the expressive idea. When you get down here, it should be smaller. You see? Oh, and then we can put the whole like this, and then there may be the other one may be over here, and then there's a line that does this in between and something like that at the top. See what I'm saying? All
Mm-hmm.
basic shape. Look at how
Nice.
all of that is shapes now.
Mm-hmm.
Every last little bit of that. Look at everybody. Let me see. Cease on that for me. It's only 11:14. Think about it. This is just the basic shapes that you could do, you know, to
Mm-hmm.
make us believe
Mm-hmm.
that Bay Area in your area, that estuary in your area.
Mm-hmm.
that entertainment area, like in Delaware, Wilmington, Newcastle area, and what they call a theater district looks like this too.
Mhm.
I don't know if they have a bridge, but I know the water is there and all the theaters is there. And when you look out over the water, I just was noticing how the architecture and everything and the placement, the engineering was pretty much all the same from Philadelphia upward and downward, the feeling of it. But yeah, so we're down on the shoreline. You see the cell phone in one person's hand that's smaller, and then we have another person having it feel like they're pointing.
Mhm.
You see, we have what looks like a big old tugboat square there, covering half the shoreline, because that's how you would see it if you was down.
Mhm.
Or if you're underneath bridges that have a certain distance in between them. I'm not sure what the exact distance is from one shore to the other, but you know, it narrows and it widens along its way.
Mhm. Mhm.
Going towards Trenton, it may be a little bit different. Going towards Delaware, going towards the ocean, it may open up a little bit more. Either which way, we got that feeling.
Definitely
Yes.
have that feeling.
I want everybody to digest that with just basic shapes. We're just on the board. Haven't even talked light yet, but you can see the idea of the arrows and the movement of light that I'm
Mhm.
implying across the top applies to this one too. If you just take the suggestion, if we put the light source coming from the left side, it looks like they're out there early morning taking pictures of the bridge and of the scene because it ain't nobody else out there.
Mhm.
Or it's the people that jargon and stuff. Because then this location that I'm alluding towards would be where the Cherry Street Pier is
Yeah.
on Columbus Boulevard, in between
Mhm.
there and Dave Buster's.
Mhm.
That's the area where we're possibly standing to see this scene in my mind's eye, because that's where I frequent that would look like this.
Mhm.
Could I do the same thing from the Trenton side of things? Yeah, you know what I mean? That's the what that would be Mercerville and all that good stuff connecting to Jersey at the yeah, Lawrenceville and stuff like that at that. So, you know, yeah.
It's just so I don't know. I was just looking at it and I was just thinking how just a few minutes ago the board was empty
Yep.
and now we have all this activity going on.
Yep. And think about this, it's all implied.
Yeah.
It's not really there. It's coming from nowhere, but
Mhm.
becoming something right in front of you
Mhm.
because of placement, because of size. You know, soon we're going to go through because right now we're line and shaping and forming it right
Mhm.
now, you know.
And
See how
that's
by just pointing the bow of the boat in the
mhm.
left direction, the front part of the boat pointing it that way,
Mhm.
just implies movement.
Yeah.
Like that may be going to Elizabeth somewhere, to the harbor up north somewhere, to drop off his goods or to pick up goods.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's, you know, that river is constantly there's stuff going on there.
That was the natural business at one point.
Mhm.
If you go back in our history and you go back right before, just before the train, we're talking about 1800s, 1900, before
Mhm.
that point came in, it was all about the river.
Right.
That's what it was, tugboats and all of that. That's what it was all about. I don't even think the bridge was there. The Ben Franklin Bridge was there yet.
Yeah, when was the Ben Franklin Bridge?
Yeah, what's the date on when it was erected? And that'll let us know when they actually started, you know what I mean, industrializing the country,
Mhm.
you know? Because before those points, you just have to realize what was the main source of commerce?
Mhm.
It was either people was on land with a horse and buggy, because the car wasn't really at a high number or wasn't to the average individual at that point. These were people that were elitist or in secluded areas that were able to have access to be able to make these vehicles in the early form.
Mhm.
But in the industrial, in what we are calling the industrial urban areas, no, they wasn't there yet. It was still them messing around with horse and buggy, steam engine, steamboat to move parcels from one location to another, especially on the eastern seaboard.
Mhm.
So yeah, they've always had the business.
Well, to answer the question, I went to Wikipedia
Okay.
and work began January 6, 1922. It
Yeah.
opened July 1st, 1926, 90. Okay, so here it says 97 years ago, but 26, I think it's 100.
Another one, that that
Well, no,
bridge
98.
to connect because the automobile business was stepping up.
Mhm.
Because isn't that right around the time when the car became accessible to the average individual?
Yes. Ford was
Yeah.
out.
And that would, and then now TV is going, and that's when we got the something hillbillies, that John,
Mm-hmm.
that sitcom with
Uh,
Jed,
da, 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 da,
Beverly
da, da, da.
Hill, yeah, the Beverly Hill Hillbillies,
Yeah.
him.
I can't
That,
believe I remembered
we're
that.
saying that's time frame,
Mm-hmm.
because these individuals was able to get vehicles and start moving about. Now
Mm-hmm.
you can't get to the other side of the bridge. Yeah, you can do the tugboat thing, but how many people had enough money to really do that? So, all right, let's put a bridge, and that would be better because now we can get everybody that's coming through to pay something.
We gonna get all of you. We gonna
Yeah,
make you
but
pay.
yeah, but that's funny to see that bridges and cars and all that industrialization that we're talking about came about right after or in between 50 years before the 1900s and in between that point to 50 years after.
And now Camden was the place to work too, right?
Yeah, Camden. Yep. Camden was the place to come because all the trains came to our area. All the trains came to this area right here from
Mm-hmm.
across the country and came down from New York at that point, carried parcels from New York and South Street Seaport, if
Mm-hmm.
not on the water, or more safer on land with the train to come down to Philadelphia and drop off stuff and pick up stuff. But the Philadelphia port, the Delaware port, was the main port for everybody. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And the Empire port was the secondary one until it got bigger because of their barons that they have up there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The barons that are down here were more, how would you say, Quaker Amish based.
Yes.
The ones in the barons above Trenton were more so like the barons you see today. They was more so heavy into commerce and industry and things like this. And you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna say they care less about nature because that's not true. You wouldn't have certain townships that you have in New Jersey if that was true. So
Mm-hmm.
we'll just say that they were based upon commerce, the
Mm-hmm.
true capitalists, you know what I mean, at that. And that's the divide in the area still to this day.
Yeah.
That's why there's arguments on how graffiti got started, because if you look at it, yeah, Cornbread did get the most attention of it
Mm-hmm.
because he did hit up Michael Jackson's airplane, he did hit up an elephant, and
Mm-hmm.
he did make the most, how would you say, feared politician ever have almost a meltdown
Mm-hmm.
because he wrote Cornbread was here on a security talk.
Yeah.
So when you bring up these factors, people, you know, they go, "Oh my God, yeah." It's not about being right. It's just that you have to look at what attention was given. Now that's the most that he can do. As soon as he did it, all the securities changed because of the Quaker Amish. In New York, as long as you was out of Manhattan during business hours, you were fine. And that's the difference. And then each borough, as long as you was out of their marketplaces by a certain time, it was fine. Then it became, oh, we don't care about those marketplaces. We only care about Manhattan Isle. So this is the difference between here below Trenton and above Trenton. That's still the natural divide historic. All of that to be said just because we're doing a bridge.
I know, we just went there. We went
but
to
you have to, you have to, because it's all about pulling something from nothing. The nothing is that we don't know where you've been to say where we should put these blocks. Got to remember, I'm just giving a suggestion.
This is just a suggestion.
Yeah, and we're running with it. Those out there that are true mavericks, they're going to look at what we're doing and say, oh, man, that's what you're doing? And then they're going to put their blocks the way they're seeing, because they're going to understand that line and edge is the same. So you're controlling the edges of all the items in this world. In that square, you control all the edges, all the happenings, all the movements you control. See how they have to follow natural movements? Because what other experience do you have to help you with this and putting this down? So just know that when somebody tells you it's coming from nowhere, you can just either confront the person if you want to, if you're that type of combative person, and debative person, and say that's not true. You're using your surroundings as a template, a start point. That's why Superman can fly, you know what I mean? Because you've seen things fly. So you're saying to yourself, what if man could fly and we could see it? That's what it would look like. Duh. That's an adaptation of what's going on in your world.
Right.
So you're using your world as a template, you know what I'm saying, to, I would say, to transform or morph items in your square. Yeah, that's deep. So that's your subjective and objective idea. Right now, we're dealing with the objective idea. We're alluding toward that subjective. So that's another idea. That's still the nothing from something, or something from nothing. Because we're using our subjective feeling about what this place could look like. That's why since it's just you and I right now, that's why I'm throwing the question at you and say, oh, can you see it? Because sometimes, yeah, I know others can see it on camera, but what about on the retape? You know what I mean? So yeah, you need to hear that, everybody, like, oh, okay. And it's not because we're trying to be big-headed here or anything. No, it's that if you can see it on the screen and yours comes close to what that looks like on the screen, then you're there. You have the understanding. You just got to be patient with yourself.
Yeah, it's being patient. Yeah, you're right.
That's the hardest part for anybody, whether you're retired or not. The hardest part is being patient with self. And then the other aspect of that is not being afraid to be wrong, or what we call is wrong.
Right.
Or asymmetrical. Because it's just another state of being. So your timing is off. It's not that you're wrong. That's what I would tell you. But be wrong if you think you, because how else are you, how would you say, downloading information around you as a human being?
Right.
You only do it through what we call error. And through enough repetition of error, you all of a sudden get to a positive, as we call it. And that's where you get to the theorem of two negatives make a positive. Like this stuff is all around us, everybody. Just take the time to just look.
Just look.
That's it. Don't judge it. Don't say you're trying to be smarter than the next person. All this, stuff. I'm not saying be humble, because if you look at the true word of humble, I don't know. I'm going to say this for myself as a disclaimer. Nadine does not have these thoughts, and these are not the thoughts of Let's Paint and Draw Alone. These are done. You know what I mean? And, nah, I'll hold off on that. I'll hold off.
What? What were you
Yeah,
going
I'll
to
hold.
say?
Nah, I'm gonna get back into the piece. I will start this outside of the piece, and I look at the clock, and the clock said, "Go back to the artwork because you still got to put the hat on."
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry, it's gonna come out. Because judgment is always, and we have to fight that judgment and being judged. Being wrong is the essence. How many times have you been wrong to get to a right?
It's about the experience.
You're right, but then through that experience, how many times have you been what we would call wrong in a situation before it becomes right? You see, that's just a dilemma for everybody to answer for themselves. There's no direct answer for it. You see what I'm saying? Could it be like how Tesla said, 3, 6, and 9? I don't know.
Right.
Could it be 2, like they say in mathematics? I don't know.
Could 1 times 1 actually be 2?
Me too. I don't know. If we look at it if we look at it from a physical aspect, and 1 plus 1 can be 2, can be 3, can be 4, 5, and 6, depending upon the source and what's going on. So, depending upon how you're observing this idea or this concept. Because if somebody has quadruplets or octurons, right? Man, that's a lot of babies at one time. So 1 plus 1 becomes like 10. Oh my
1
God.
plus 1.
What kind of math is that? You see, but that's outside of the mechanism of commerce. But they are saying that no, that's not the case. Well, I argue this like how somebody else argues it too as well. If I added $2 to your account every day and I multiplied $2 in my account every day, who would have more money?
What was that?
See what I'm saying? It makes you pause for a second, like, okay, if he's saying one times 1 is 2, then okay, that's an addition thing, not a multiplication. So if we look at the form of idea of what we're talking about, if I took $2 and had your account, my account, and I took your account and I added $2 to your account every day, and I multiplied $2 in my account every day, who would have the most finance? Me.
You would, because you're multiplying yours.
Rather than adding.
Right. And I think this is where, okay, art meets life, but I think that was the dilemma, or not dilemma, but the con.
Right.
If we could multiply, we would have more money in the bank.
Yeah, I know that's what he's trying to say.
Instead of just adding, you add to yours. But
the idea is you divide to multiply.
Right.
You diversify to multiply.
Diversify.
And then you wind up going back to adding in those accounts. I agree with you. But then those accounts are supposed to be divided. And then each one is, then it's multiplied. Then it's back to an addition thought. I'm adding 1 each day. Or I'm adding a couple of 1s each day. You see, it's a dilemma that opens up. Right. Because it's all about how you observe it.
So we haven't really been all that observant of money, and we haven't
Yes,
been all that observant about the things around us.
yes and no. You observe it enough to function,
That's
but you
true.
don't observe it enough to see the deeper emotional and expressive things that we are expressing with doing this scene.
Right.
And it's the same thing with fiat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know of it, we know how to manipulate it on an everyday basis, but then some of the elite, or if you transition into that next zone of understanding of what that energy is, then now you can delve into the idea of division and multiplication.
So now we're talking the difference between the wealthy and the poor. The poor, they want to add money. The wealthy want to multiply.
They want to add, but they want to multiply to have different and several different means of streams of what they call streams of income. That's a
Mm-hmm.
multiplication idea, wouldn't you say? As a division to multiplication idea.
Mm-hmm.
I want to divide them up to multiply them, to have multiples of them,
Mm-hmm.
so that each one of those multiples is bringing a derivative, an addition.
Now, when you started saying that, I started thinking of how we divide up a space on a piece that we're working at to
And
make
that's what
it
I'm alluding to. How you
right.
divide up this space into quadrants, and we're
I,
placing
I
the
was seeing
quadrants.
that. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the quadrants are eluding an inward movement
Mm-hmm.
that appeals to an outward idea.
Mm-hmm. Because everything is relative, like how we see stuff. And
No, it's everything we see, because we have two orbs in our head, right? Two circles is clonal view.
mm-hmm.
That's why it seems like when you're moving forward, you're walking into your world,
Mm-hmm.
because you're looking into your world. You see? You really are. Even though you're advancing forward, you're looking into your world, if you understand that concept. And then you would see how, let me see, let me get another marker up here real quick, so that everybody can see it even more so. The idea of looking into your world and how everything is mimicking that. Everything is going in like this right now from your top view, is going in this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's alluding towards that idea there. From down here, it's doing the same thing here. If you look at that green, it's alluding towards that idea of everything going into your space. See this arrow here?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. Sorry.
So you see that green line right there? You don't have to draw that, everybody, not unless you're not doing your first drawing to finish. And then you can put these notations on there, like how I'm doing on the board there. And the same thing happens on the side here. It'll be going in this way. Oh no, not there. Sorry, everybody. It would be, see where the horizon line is? It would go from there and widen from there and do this here.
Mm-hmm.
So that when it gets here, levels off, and then you'll see that box. You should start seeing that box that I was alluding towards in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Starting to see that box in here?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So literally when they say you're looking into your space, that's what that means. And it's only because you have two balls in your head, two orbs that's set at a certain height. They have to be together this way. If they're not level like this, your eye level, then you're going to have issues. If that space is not there in the middle, you're going to have issues with observing scenes like this. So you're literally looking into your world, everybody. It should be easy for everybody to finish this at this point, to tell you the truth, Nadine. That's why I went into more so explanations on this. Because sometimes with this something from nothing, I don't want to dictate everything that happens. You know, I would rather just start it off for you and then let's see what everybody takes it. You know, and if need be, yeah, I'm gonna put the hat in and everything. But some of these things need to be explained a little bit more so you can understand the manipulation of this idea when you're trying to depict something that's from nowhere. You're just making it up based upon where you're from, where you've been, where you want to go, based upon where you. So notice how we have the horizon line now, which would be the other shoreline, you see, almost at the midpoint of the page. Or at the midpoint of the square. So it gives us half above and half below. And then still, with all that conversation about looking into our world, what did we do to make you really feel like we was going in the world? We used the idea of diminishing shapes. Things that diminish in space, meaning that things that appear to go away from you appear to get smaller or tapered, even as short as from your nose and 4 feet in front of you. You can notice the back of items getting smaller when they're moving away from you or into your world or into your point of view. If I say it in that way, everybody should get this idea now and look at your cameras totally different. Honestly, really should look at your cameras totally different. Because once you understand this basic idea that we're talking about observation and how to have inner observation, you know, how to manipulate to make up a scene from nothing. That's the nothing. It's not that it's nothing, and it's not that it's voidness. It's just that it's nothing because nobody else knows what you know about the area you've been to or your experience. So it's from the nothingness that we pull something. It's not that it's nothing, like how we think zero, nothing, deleted, things like this. That's what goes back to our conversations of 1 times 1 equaling 2, which is very interesting, the whole, you know, debacle that we went through. It goes through that. See? So diminishing in space, things that get smaller away from you. That's a good way of alluding towards space when you don't have a good control of what we call perspective. Just knowing that things get smaller as they move away from you is a big advantage over other artists if you're trying to get into the competition, get into a school, get others' attention a little bit more. The more and more you give us marks that closely resemble a space and place edge that we've been, the human being is going to recall it. It's just like seeing the letter A or the alphabet. As soon as I see A, I trigger back to, you know, kindergarten and everything. Apple! Yeah. B, ball, boy, bat. You know what I mean? See what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what lines and edges are. If you see edges look a certain way on a chair that's your favorite, you're either going to get mad at people because somebody messed your chair up or they let the animal chew your chair up.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Or you're going to know it was altered and not sit in that chair no more. Why? Because it may be dangerous for my hind part. It may cut me. It may stab me because I'm looking at the edges of these items in what used to be my comfortable chair. So edge and line and mark are all one and the same. Mark is just how you relay the message on paper. You're leaving a mark behind. You're leaving a residual of material behind that depicts your idea of what a mark or edge can be. So now you transition that into the shape and the shape into the form, and you have a space now. And then now after that, now you have to address the tonality or the color or the light which leads right into the surface because you can't have one without the other. So
Can't
then that's
have
when
one
you
without the other.
get right. They can flip flop. You can have surface before light, but if you really think about it, you can't have one without the other. You know what I mean? It's like you can't have color without formality. I know Mark Rothkow and the color field painters, you're saying, wait a minute, Dawn, you're not thinking about this. Yeah, I know everybody. Color field painting, the theory was, or the Raphaelites. If we go back further, the Raphaelites were all about color, and they said color was the main thing, and the Poussinese was the Poussins, which was all about formality and drawing everybody. Said no, you got to have form. Now we know if you have both together, you can do a masterful thing. If you have an understanding of light and light movement and formality and structure, oh, it's, it's nothing that you can't. It's not nothing that you can't do. You just have to step aside yourself and not mess it up. You know what I'm saying? And messing it up means that you overjudge it. You don't let it just flow out. You want to over dictate. Well, it should be smaller here, or maybe it should be. Well, wait a minute. It doesn't have to be. It should be what it needs to be in order for your intent to come across.
Do you believe that that's the downfall of many artists, that they get caught up in that?
Yeah, that's the perfectionist mode. They start, how would you say, debating their their direct movement with their, how would you say, subjective thought. So I can see that the sunlight is doing something there in front of me, but because I'm manipulating and putting it on the page, I have to second guess myself because there has to be a flaw because what I'm seeing is not relaying on the page, i.e., I'm going to say I'm wrong. And each time I say I'm wrong, I'm going to slow my motion down. Each time I try to say I got to erase, and I said, well, it should be up higher. And then all of a sudden, I jump from the right side of the page to the left side of the page. And I start to hesitate on going back to that side of the page that challenged me. Then, yeah, that's the debate of the perfection that I'm talking about. Because you're thinking that you have to be perfect and right. So now you have to alter these movements in order for it to be what it is right. But if you really look at it, what is right if you're saying you're pulling it from nothing? It's not right until you state what it is. Then when you state what it is, that's when I can join in, and then I may combat you. I might say, well, no, from my experiences of what you just said, that is not right. It does not look like it. And then you may say, well, this is my subjective view. Oh, okay. That means that's my alternate view, my inside view of what this environment is.
So for those that might be joining us and did not and not picking up on that, it's how do you break that perfective perfection mode?
Okay, how do you stop partying? You see what I'm saying? So it's more like just letting it be then. So rather than judging thine self all the time, get to know thine self. Don't judge thine self. Get to know thine self from repetition, the true essence of what repetition is, if the space and place allows you to have repetition. See, the problem is in a lot of our situations nowadays, you're not allowed to have a lot of room for repetition, for trial and error. Because no, I need you to have I need a quick turnaround. This information needs to be right back out there. So yeah, repetition in our era now has to be a quick learning curve, as they say. Now you're seeing a dilemma.
Yeah.
Because the human has to be left room to have what we call an error in order to reboot itself, to have an experience to go by to say, this is what I need to do at this moment. Not that I'm right and wrong. This is what I need to do at this moment based upon my repetition and my persistence within repetition to dissolve the idea of what? Being perfect. So how do you move out of your way? Having an experience, firsthand experience. You got to have them. Other than that, you're just smart. You're not observant. You're just smart. That means that you read a book somewhere and you're able to regurgitate. You're smart. Nothing wrong with that. That helps in society all the way around too. But what if you're more observant? That if you're more observant, that pushes aside the idea of perfection because you have to be repetitious. So for me, if you're asking me, I would say it's to push aside that idea of wanting to be perfect. You have to be first one to understand repetition, to be able to apply repetition, to debunk the perfectionist within inside of you. Because what happens a lot of times, you do the perfect, like, all right, let's look at our athletes. They do these repetitious movements all the time, so that when we get to see them on the screen or at that moment in the game, and all this good stuff going on, they're able to react and move. And we're looking and say, wow, look how magnificent he looks, and look at how magnificent she looks, and they're perfect in their movement. No, not. They're repetitious in their movements, which gives off the perception of perfection. So understanding what perfection really is another issue in society. And that's another way of, how would you say, controlling the perfectionist or the judgmental within you. Because if you understand that perfection is perception, you perceive it to be perfect at that moment, that right hand that man throws, the way that woman swings her backhand. You know what I mean? The way that man may barbecue on the grill and his chicken comes out perfect every time to you. How did it get to that perfect perception, perceived state? Because of repetition, persistence and repetitious movement to kill the idea of perfectionist, but arrogance kicks in. Because you may be getting a lot of attention for this perceived perfection that's based upon repetition. So that's the other issue, the attention that you may get that may make you feel like you're famous because you're receiving attention for this thing that you're repetitious of, that others want to do and are not highly repetitious like you may be. So there's a third dynamic that's happening where, you know, somebody may think they're perfect because they're living vicariously through somebody else that is perceived as being perfect. So you see how it's a conundrum on how to control.
Yeah, definitely. It is.
Within everybody, which is nothing more than the judgmental side of self or the combative side of self, the consonance, dissonance, you know what I mean, as they may say. Or the if you go Freudian, the id and the super id, battling one another, your objective and subjective mind at battle. Your body wants to go and your mind says, hey man, I don't really want to do this right now. He's like, yeah, after a while you start hitting your head, yeah, well, I gotta do this, man. I can stop right now. I'm okay. Yeah, we are. Yes, we are. I'm gonna stop right now. Fuck it, I'm gonna stop. Yeah, that's the ego and the id, or the super ego and the id, or the subconscious and conscious mind at battle. The body mind thing at battle, the perfectionist within you at battle. to do what it perceives that these things are rather than doing what it knows. So that's why you should have being in the know, have an experience.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, how do you know what a bridge scene looks like if you've never driven under a bridge,
Right.
walked on it, driven on one, things like that? It's like when you talk to a kid right now that's 13,
Right.
and you talk to them and you say, "Oh, you know what a Polaroid is?"
Mm.
And they're going to look at you like that's a foreign thing right now, a
Right.
Polaroid. But then some of them know because of the technologies and how their parents or how their household is ran, what that may be because they may buy the little nostalgic Polaroid camera thing. But
Yeah.
other than that, everybody's turned out on digital.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what film looks like. Ask a
Yeah.
person that's under 15 what 35 millimeter film looks like.
Yeah. A lot of them don't know.
You see, I would challenge it all the way up to over 98% of them don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So that small percentage at top is because of the affluence of the bubble that they came into.
Mm-hmm.
If the bubble that they came into and the people in that bubble are affluent, meaning that they're progressive and they hold on to certain things and they're always investigating and having the environment filled with this stuff, then yeah, that kid is going to know because somebody in that environment knows about it. And how would you say, presented this idea or they walked into the environment where it's being expressed. And then now
Mm-hmm.
you're seeing it. Like with me, I walked in at 69, I walked into a black basement with day glow paintings on the wall of what was perceived as lions and tigers and panthers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was that era, and that's what influenced me to want to stay looking at art.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was my father's attempt of putting that on the wall at that time because they're
Right.
controlling the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I know about certain things based upon what the bubble was allowing to be able to be seen. So with that being said, if your bubble or your controlling features in your surroundings hasn't taken you to a bridge, then you may not understand what a bridge is
Mm-hmm.
or an overpass is
Mm-hmm.
or an L stop
Right.
or the L.
L stop. Yeah.
Yeah, you
I didn't
see?
I didn't know what an L was until 18.
Right. You see, because if you didn't encounter it, and if you're in
Mm-hmm.
an area or in a bubble where it's
Mm-hmm.
not needed as a form of transportation in your immediate area, then it's basically what do I need to know about it for? Because it's not in my
Right.
immediate.
Yeah.
That's why I debate with people now. That's why we're so narcissistic now, because if you have a certain amount in your pocket, you can buy a certain apparatus. And technically, you don't have to leave wherever you're at to be, I would say, knowledgeable of other places and spaces.
Right.
You know, you got a lot of fraudulent people that do that. They haven't really been on no flight nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But because they can go on YouTube and Google and Wikipedia and all this stuff and download, this is where people can say, oh, yeah, I was in Vietnam and wear the
Mm-hmm.
hat, fraudulently get benefits from society, not from the system, from society.
Mm-hmm.
That somebody will just walk up to you and give you $100. Why? Because they may have been in Vietnam. They
Mm-hmm.
may have made it out their union. And they may look at you in your fraudulent stance and then boom, signal.
I was looking at my arm, trying to recreate it on this
Oh,
and then I was just like, and then I realized how
you had
damn
me.
stupid that looked.
Yeah, you gave me that look. I was like, okay,
I
let
was
me round it off the corner, everybody. I got my signal, you know.
I'm working here and
I feel
I'm
you.
trying to get this arm together.
So with that being said, what I'll do is I'll jump down now and let's put the hat in here so at least people have a hat covering. Now, is it raining outside, Nadine, or are we just out here? If we just out here, I'm just gonna make.
I think we're just out there.
All right, so a baseball cap, which will bring it down a little bit lower on the head, right?
Uh-huh.
See that? Which means now we can put the ear in on the side here, and the ear here to say that the head is maybe turning a little bit. So the front of the face there. You see that?
Yeah.
Now, is it male or she? Is it a she or a he?
I made a male.
You made yours a male? Okay, we can make
Yeah.
it male with the neck a little bit broader. You see? Put the traps in. T-shirt, right?
Mm-hmm.
You put the roundness of the T-shirt right here. You see? Trap to the shoulder. Now, when we get to the shoulder, you got to do the overlap of the short sleeve there or bring it out to the side here. So it's going here to bend like this. You see? So you see by just putting that little bit there. And if this is a male, let me put the hairline back here. Put a V-neck back there. You see? So now I erase out what the bridge is being covered by. See that? Now I can put the little everything in the back. You can put the dividers for when it's cut up into those 8 parts to make the hat. Now you put the brim of the hat this way, pointing down. You see, just a little bit, not a whole bunch. So make it a big brim. Just big enough. There we go. To show direction on where they may be looking across the bridge. See? So then now I can do a square for the hand, for the palm of the hand, you see? And then if we're pointing, I'll put the index finger out and then do the section of 3. And then now just show the knuckles on this part of the hand that gets around to the thumb. You see? And the fingers would be here now on the back side. So then now when I erase out here, and let's make the finger a little bit more. And there you have it, see? Bring the knuckle over top here, knuckle here. And there you have that hand there. You see? I would make the forearm cover like so. Short sleeve would be right around here. It would be pulling back. So then now all of this would get erased out here to show that that arm is going that way. So then now this arm would be like so, everybody. If I put the back on here and show where the T-shirt would be right here, right? Here. And that's the side of the body. So now we're off the page now. This is the back of the arm here, elbow. See that? So then now we can see where this individual is now. See? And now I can erase out all that if I want to, see? And that would show where the collar of the shirt is, see? All right, how about the individual beside them? Do we give them like a little kid's hat? With the little brim was like, okay, let's go for it. All right, we do the same thing here, all right? But except now we do a little triangular thing on top, right? Like so. And then now we put the brim around the hat, wavy though. Like it's like a little cap like so. See that, everybody? See that, Nadine, what I did? No, yeah, no. Yeah. So then now what I would do is I would bring the head in a little bit more now. See? Put the ears on the side here, you see? Here. So I don't want it to look like she's looking away, but it's just going to be a little girl or a boy.
I actually have two boys.
All right, two boys. All right, so let me just put the same V-neck that Dad had. The little chin bob there, and make the neck a little smaller. You make this neck small, it says whether or not the person gets in, or toddler, or in between those ages.
Mm-hmm.
Our guy is years old. So I'll erase a little bit here. So now I can put the little hole, the arrows in the hat, you see?
Mm-hmm.
Erase out what the hat is doing here. If I wanted to make that more real, I can play with the folds a bit more, you see? Now the same thing with him, I bring the trap out this way, put a little t-shirt on him, with the collar, you see? Now, this arm is gonna come from in here to be covered by that area. That's the shirt there. Here's the arm here, you see, to get to where this hand is here. To show where the wrist is there, to show where the phone is here. Now, if you really want to have fun, you can try to put in that small space, an idea of what he may be taking a picture of or looking at, or what he may be pointing at and he's taking a picture of, whatever the case may be. You see how easy that was? Now
Oh,
this is where
yeah.
you can start making certain things permanent. You see, maybe get into what the boat is looking like. Maybe it has this type of stuff on top of it. See? You know? Maybe it's darker on that side, so we can put some lines in. You see? Maybe I'm gonna start saying that the light is coming from the left, so it's in between time zones. So it could be in between around about 10 or 11 o'clock. You see? So that shadow means it's going to be off to this side. See how we got to that conclusion?
Mm-hmm.
These buildings back here now, see? Show some of that grass and tree growth there. The buildings here. Now I can put them right on the edge there with the black, right? And start describing what some of the buildings are. You see? Yeah. Now I can come in. Well, let's put a couple of little clouds in. A couple of little clouds here and there. See, so a little bit of the bottom here, so that when you get down here over here, there's a little bit of the cloud here over top of this project building here. See, so now we have building here, put a couple of lines in there. We have a building here. There's the shoreline. See, shoreline. You see how it's starting to come to life in the game?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's all it is, everybody. Now you can start showing us what the bridge is doing. You know what I mean? By makeshifting some of the movements underneath there. See? Same thing here, showing that angle going in to your space. See? This is the same thing that your, how would you say, uh, um, what do they call the guy that does the storyboarding?
Mm-hmm.
I used to do that too as well. And storyboarding, I'm doing the same thing that a storyboarder would do for a director. You pretty much are giving a basic explanation of a scene that's about to go down or be seen in the future of the cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, look at that. Woo-hoo. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like how Nadine said, we had nothing.
Nothing.
Page was empty, blank. And
Mm-hmm.
now we got a whole bunch of something on the page from nothing. A whole bunch of ideas went down. I wonder how everybody else is. You
Yeah, I
know,
wonder.
hey Dean, you're looking good.
Thank
You
you.
did like a twin situation. You got one in the middle and two on the sides.
Uh, what's that?
You have one middle and two on the sides, or One mil, because I can't really, hold on, let me press you. Oh, now I see it. No, I see it. Yep, there you go.
Uh-huh.
All right, make the cell phone bigger.
Really?
Yeah, make the cell phone bigger. So it
Oh.
plays up the idea, just like how the Impressionists did. Like just like Raphael did, just like Del
Mm-hmm.
Greco did. They would make these type of items bigger, no, taller, make it more, make it go
Oh,
up more from the
I
hand.
was gonna make it a tablet.
Well, that's up to you, but it was small last time. You want to make it, they have the bigger phones that's longer. Or you can make it so they're holding it with two hands and holding it on this landscape view if you wanted to. There you go. Make it wider now. There you go. Because that finger is not going to be always able to reach all the way over to the other side if it's a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. If it's a little kid, that phone, the finger is going to be small. You're playing up that idea.
Mm-hmm.
Now with your ship there and then your shorefront, look at how some of your shapes for your shorefront is almost the same size as your boat.
Mm-hmm.
Can't be.
Mm-hmm.
Something has to surrender.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, make the boats a little bit smaller. Bring the top of the boat down. Try to make it bigger to cover the whole shoreline there.
Oh,
And it's
okay.
just about the tugboat. Okay. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if you look at the board, I made it smaller because the horizon line alludes towards it being a little bit further away.
Okay.
Yeah. Same shape, same stuff you had on it, just a smaller size. Look at how they changed the whole dynamic of the piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep, make a permanent line for the back shore above where the boat is. See where the bottom of the boat is? Make that bottom line above that. No, to the right, to the right. No, to the right side of that. Yeah, up there. Make that line more permanent now, straight across, from right to left, from left to right, rather. Yeah, there you go. Because that's going to read like the other side of the shoreline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see how that changed everything?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Camden don't have that many buildings over there. They got one or two high rises on the left side,
Yeah.
elder living, stuff like that, and a couple of apartment buildings on the left side. And then it becomes a bunch of trees going towards the south, Pennsauken, the north, Pennsauken and all of that. It gets lower. And then on the right side, that's where the stadium would be and all of that on that side. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? The
Mm-hmm.
taller building, have a taller apartment building there. You see? Yeah, just cubes, straight up and down. You can just do cubes. Because if you look from a distance, that's what they look like.
Mm-hmm.
Anything on the opposite, way away from you, anything that's, a mile or so away, it's going to seem kind of small and almost insignificant away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you see the difference now?
Yeah, it did. It made a
And
lot of
you
difference.
got the
Just that
baseball
little.
caps on the back. You got the backwards baseball caps on, so I feel you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you change the hats up. But you see how if you play the phone up a little bit more, these are
Mm-hmm.
things you can play with.
Right.
Before the kid would have to put both hands in there. If they have to put both hands, then that's a kid below teenage years. See what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as you hit about 11, 12, they're able to hold the phone with one hand, but to really function it with one hand and everything else,
Right.
yeah, it's right around, 11, 12.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when they start feeling like they're grown because the device is making them feel like they can do things that grown people can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they wanna be grown.
Right. But you see what the perception is about having something that's very repetitious. You
Mm-hmm.
have a perception, you perceive naturally as a human being. That's what I was trying to point out.
Mm-hmm.
And do those perceptions, if it makes you feel good enough, whatever good is for you, then you may get arrogant.
Mm-hmm.
You may. Not all the time, but you just may.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it so hard to control judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Because then when you start to look for perfection and now you're doing a bunch of what you call failing and you can't see where you're prevailing, and that's when you'll stop yourself from doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then now with somebody like myself who's into variety, they'll say that, oh, you're all over the place. You have no direction, when that's not really true. But
Mm-hmm.
because they've seen so many people disconnect from an idea because it seems like they had another idea next, variety is sometimes looked at as confusion.
Mm-hmm.
You know
They
what I
don't know
mean?
what to do with it.
No, it's like variety, meaning that, okay, if I'm having success in watercolor,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm saying that a lot of people would say, well, you would stay at watercolor because that's your best, not because you may be good at drafting the page. That means you do the drawings too,
Mm-hmm.
but because it's not being perceived
Mm-hmm.
as drawing as your weakest modality, and then you're going to jump into how watercolors is, better for you and everything else, where you're not realizing that you're drawing to do the watercolor.
Mm-hmm.
You see, so
I hope y'all got that. You're drawing to do the watercolor.
yeah. Anything you do, you're drawing. So how is it that you can't draw and paint and
Mm-hmm.
do two separate or three separate things? No,
Mm-hmm.
you see. So, and then you have that other eerie space where they'll start calling you a savant because
Mm-hmm.
you're able to, I would say, function in several different realms at one time. That means that you're pretty good at watercolor. You're real good at drawing and drafting out.
Mm-hmm.
That means that you're feeling real good about doing charcoal drawings and things like that, maybe even all the way up to pastels. Maybe weak in oil painting,
Mm-hmm.
maybe kind of moderate in acrylic painting.
Mm-hmm.
You get where I'm going now?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
a jack of all trades.
Well, yes and no. It's just that it's a formality.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying that that term confuses people too,
Mm-hmm.
because if I can write, I can paint.
Mm-hmm.
If I can write my name, then I can draw.
Mm-hmm.
So I can do multiple things at one time. It's just that who's giving themselves a chance to do so
Right.
without being perfect, which means being judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm going to cut that
Yeah.
off to an expressive moment and just keep having an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the more firsthand experiences you have, you'll notice that certain things that it's going to be said to you is not you're not going to care about, especially when you're moving in your own movement at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's where we get these different expressive qualities. Look at that.
Yeah.
What's the difference between Picasso and Thomas Eakins?
What is the difference? Their
Well,
approach?
their approach, their observations, or their regurgitations of their experience.
Mm-hmm.
One was more literal,
Right.
the other one was more investigative and expressive.
Mm-hmm.
Or else everybody would have to stay stuck in this idea of academia to be able to do a painting,
Right.
i.e., have to do a grid, i.e., put the grid down because you're so in fear of not having things be symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
But then what I saw, the artists that they had us studying, even as far as back as the 1400s, used asymmetry as another state of design, not as a negative.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Everybody looks at acute, obtuse, or angles that go as being negatives, but they really are positives if you look at it in certain ways. So asymmetry and symmetry, what I understand from doing design, graphic design, all that, are just states of being, states of expression.
States of
It's not that it's wrong. And if you look into, illustrations and posters and things from the Impressionists onward and the Futurists onward, then you'll understand a little bit more of what we're saying about symmetry and asymmetry being states of design and opportunities to, how would you say, relay new states of being, or to relay a state of being, Ooh, man, oh man.
Man, oh man.
Yeah.
That whole notion of states of being.
You're looking good. You did like a
Say again?
Like if you look at your and what I got board, they're similar spaces, but they're not the same space.
Right.
Not even the same two individuals.
Nope.
You see, so that's what I mean by observing and utilizing the nothing, the something from nothing idea. Because you can take a generalized idea, and I used to do it all the time in art classes for students from K through 12, no matter if they were in behavioral special ed or regular K through 12, and even their CLEP students, or how would you say, college prep students, as we used to call it. Doesn't matter. You use this idea of recall. So many different things you can think about, compare, contrast, things like this, perspective, and all these ideas we just went through. You can go through with your own little horde of individuals. Or you can play our video back so they can get all that information. Or you can send us information and say, hey, why don't y'all just do one where you do more of the movements and the talking is in the background and we have more movements. Oh, okay, I can do that one too. But it's just that when you see this much information on the board, it's good that it's broken down to, like the little squiggly lines on the left. That's the surface and texture item. Now, when you're looking at that real quick, okay, 12:22, we go about to this time. When you look at that, that's when you're looking at light and surface. So we already said that if we look at our sun implied idea of light movement, we was going to go with the upper left idea, which would be more so towards the left portion, which would mean more so towards the early morning idea, like around about between 9 and 11 o'clock. You see? And then that'll give us a feeling of that sunlight coming over that direction. Yeah, because the east is that way as well. See? So it all can be alluded to. So your texture ideas will be showing where the light sources are, everybody. So real quick, or I have to get another cup of coffee. Yeah. Put some more ginger in that thing. Oh boy. This is where we said the light is coming from this direction. So let's write it in. Our light source is here. Oh, that's a 4 marker right there. We don't want that. We want to need orange. Oh, okay. So the light source is coming from this direction. That's where the light source is. All right, everybody. This is our lights. So it's around about that 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So then that means that you know the deal. Underneath here, this will be dark here. See how I'm putting the lines in between here. And that diagonal direction going with the way the edges of the bridge is telling me to go with that mark.
Mhm.
So ultimately, when we get that here, it's darkest down here at this point. You see, I can put the side banner here. That's like the shape for the walk. See, just by putting a couple of lines here. Doesn't have to be nothing too deep. When you get up here, you just make it a little bit more prominent up here. So even the same thing, if things come forward to you above your space, to the right and left of you, and going towards you, it's always going to be wider when it gets up and over where your area is bigger and things like this. So now we can make it so that you can see one or two parts of the bridge underneath here. You know, to go to the other shore, you go more to the shoreline. We say it's going back like that where it's bending to go that way. See, structure would be out here, structure here. You just put a little square there that says that that's going inside the water there. See how fast that happened?
Mhm.
That shoreline, we cut the head off a little bit and made it smaller. Now we can come in here and divide this space up to really look like that apartment building that's on the opposite side of the Ben Franklin Bridge. You see? Maybe even put one more building right here that you see halfway. A little bit taller. That's like the apartment building, and then put a couple of your dash marks horizontally to say that those are the floors of the building. You know, from the windows from the other side. See? Up top here, I would put in my line to say that this is that metal and concrete pillar. See? And make it so, and make it more solid. You see, before I get to making all those other lines, support lines, and beams. I'll put as many support lines as I want to, or cable, support cables if I want to. I think that's called a tension bridge at that point. I don't know. I can't remember. But I think that's what that is when you have the lines on it. It's a tension bridge. The Triborough Bridge is that way. The Brooklyn Bridge is that way. Yeah. See what starts to happen. Now I can put in some light waves here, and it follows the same rule. As it's here, the lines are closer together, the waves are closer together. As you get closer to coming towards you, those wave lines will get bigger or wider apart. See what I did on the side here? So then now you can see, and as you move them wider and wider apart, coming towards you, it gives you that feeling of that space being expansive and coming toward you. You see? Now I can erase out some of this here so you can see the arm now in here. Some of this here so you can see the shoulders of the blue boy. You see? You see what starts to happen? Look, I do it over here. Same thing, put the waves closer together. And now further apart. A little bit calmer. You know, formulate that arm a little bit more. Bring it that inside here. See? It's reaching out in front of them. You see? So that means those waves will come right up in there. So then that means too that there'll be a dark spot on this side of the bridge right here. That will show the darkness of the bridge shadow. See that idea there, Nadine?
Mm-hmm.
See? Because if the light's coming from this way, a shadow would be on this side of the bridge. So that means all of this area underneath the bridge would be a little bit darker as you get further away from you. So whereas now when you write above you, yeah, this area will be dark, but not as dark as what's down here. See that difference just a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
Now with the light coming this way, then now most of the darknesses on the human body will be this way, on the right side. On the right side in here. Shadow here, underneath the cap would be dark. See?
Mm-hmm.
On the right side of the cap, it would be darker here, not at the edge. See? Where the shadows are going in, the shadow at the shoulders here, and now in here. To get down here, all of this would be in darkness here. And across the back of the shoulder here to here. See how it's starting to have that feeling?
Yeah.
On the hand, it will be darkest on the right side of the hand. On the arm, the same thing. There will be a shadow. See what's starting to happen now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on the boy's hat, it will be the same way. Darkness on the right side. On the right side in here. Underneath the hat, it will be the darkest point for the little boy because well, for me, he has a wider brim. For you with the hat turned backwards, you're not going to see as much of the back of the head.
Mm-hmm.
So your darknesses will be all on the right side of the brim, not at the edge. See?
Mm-hmm.
Back of the arm here, between the arm, the father's arm, and the little boy's arm. There'll be a shadow there. Here, you see?
Mm-hmm.
And how I'm using the cross hatching to make things a little bit darker. You see? You pretty much got your scene in there. See? I can do things like put the seam in the shirt here for the shoulder. Put some darkness for underneath the underarm there. Maybe some darkness here if I have more of the body here that would come from the spine, the middle part. You would have certain darkness there, like so, and on this side here, that light's coming this way. You see? So look how fast that happened, everybody. And we're pretty much done. It's 12:30. Pretty much done. See what I'm doing? Oh yeah, we went there today. Something
Yes,
from
we
nothing
did.
at the bridge. And we dealt with perspective very loosely. Once again, it's all about the size of things. And the added thing that we talked about today was the diminishing of space, the diminishing of items in space. How things upon your point of view, as they're going away from you, even as small as a foot from your nose to 12 inches in front of you, if you're looking at something, you can notice how things taper off on the back side of the item going away from you, which is going into your space.
For sure.
So yeah.
Yep. Woo!
So the only thing that's left for our Mavericks to do is to possibly, if you wanted to, on the little boy's screen, put an image in there of the bridge. Think about that, a small image of the bridge, that same angle but smaller, inside that little screen. And you're going to be shocked how powerful that is.
Yep, I did it.
Yeah, hold on, let's see. Oh yeah, you see? And look at how that pulls the viewer in even more.
Yeah.
We're looking at it, Nadine. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then now that reads optically like a story, psychological.
Yep.
Pointing at the bridge, he's taking the picture of the bridge. Somebody else will say, oh my God, something's happening on the bridge. If you put a little circle or something or a puff or a bright light at that midpoint of the bridge, right over top of the father's head. It'll look like there's a fire or something on the bridge. Oh my God. Yeah,
there's a fire.
Yeah. You can do the whole Maryland, Virginia thing, whereas we don't have that issue here where boats are that huge, but you know what I mean? You can make it look like another boat that's coming through real huge that looks like it's hitting the bridge to have that whole thing that happened down in Maryland.
Oh, we wouldn't want to have a duck boat incident. Remember when the duck boat?
Yeah.
And a tugboat, was it a tugboat? It was, or not a tugboat, it was something else.
Yeah, but
they
that's
both
what I'm
hit.
saying. These are the things that we can allude towards in just a drawing like this, just from having the cell phone in the smaller person's hand.
For sure, for sure.
Just think about that and how that works, And then now you can see the whole idea of the differences between a Horace Pippin and a Henry Ossawa Tanner. You see, dealing with the same ideas and thought processes, but having two different ways of displaying or regurgitating the experience.
Totally.
Totally. Yeah, you see it. Then if you put Thomas Eakins and Picasso, you'll see that they're pulling from the same realm. It's just that they have a different concept of regurgitation of display. Or reconstructing the conundrum of the everyday. Yeah, because outside of that era, when we hit the 1600s, supposedly, this is where everybody started to gear towards those ideas that we're talking about, and definitely in the late 1800s, early 1900s, where the World's Fair was going down. This is when a lot of that stuff was talking about. That's Duchamp descending the stairs, that's Kandinsky talking theories and things like this, spirituality and art, all this good stuff. And you got Edison and Tesla going at it over the AC and DC current. All of this is happening at the same time. You got the advent of acrylic paint coming on, with the Mexican muralists coming in and starting to do murals, and they have to get a paint that can last, so you don't do it in oil to make the process that expensive. All of this is happening at the same time. I just bring it up because, if you investigate it, you'll see that all these thoughts clashed at the same time, along with the idea of the bridge. So,
Cool.
You find out after the World's Exposition went down, that's basically when this bridge went up. World's Exposition is from 1905, basically. They had a couple of ones all the way up to 1910. And then 1920 is when the Ben Franklin Bridge and other type of things and structures start going up.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I need to break away to let my handyman in. Can you
no problem.
All right,
if you want to
cool.
break it down now, we can let it go now if you want to.
Okay, but yeah, it's hot, so I want to let him in. Well, definitely want to thank everybody for joining us today. We had a grand old time. We hope to see you again real soon. Be sure to like and share this video with anyone you think that would enjoy it. We appreciate you. We thank you. It was making something from nothing. And stay cool, everybody, and keep creating. All right. All right. Thanks, everybody. Sorry we got to go, but I want you to watch this again. See you in the replay. All right. Take care, everybody. Be